you make, or is it a God that treats you like a parent, which stereotypically should be somebody who lets you make mistakes and celebrates your victories and whatever with you. But so you have to decide, and once you let go of somebody writing down your every flaw, then you can have a whole lot more grace. So.
Well, let's get back to that. I like that. I like that point.
Okay.
So. Welcome back, listeners. This is Joan with the Joan Yurkovich Show on 910 KINA Salina. We're wrapping up our conversation with Beverly Cole, and we had some good off-broadcast discussion. We want you to go to joanyurkovich.com and watch the video outtakes. But Beverly had a lot of interesting things to say about how she has found it, a way she's found to be more compassionate toward people who get kind of caught up in this whole religious rite. Let's just call it religious rite.
One of the things I had to learn to do, and one of the things I was kind of terrified to do, and Joan mentioned my writing a book, and one of the things I was scared about going out and talking to people was, what do I do when people throw scripture at me? And a friend of mine said, you tell your story and you be yourself and you don't worry about that. But I do run across people who, you know, are concerned about my soul and are praying for me and everything, and really have not met too many hateful people, but a few. And so what I had to do was to learn how to wear their shoes and to, or maybe wear their church hat, whatever you want to put it.
Well, I think when you say hateful people, you know, we were talking, you know, here a minute ago about fearful.
I think that's the, yeah, that's what's behind the hate.
That is behind some of that is this fear. And again, maybe this concern and fear for your soul, like you said. So,
and it's a legitimate, you know, it's their way of
this is their interpretation, and this is how
how
they're reading it. So,
but someone told me once, and this is how I learned to look at it, that everybody, or a lot of times people have their house of cards, and on each card is something to do with their faith, like homosexuality, abortion, taking the Bible literally, or whatever it might be, and that's their faith. It's built in this little house. So if they find out they have a gay child, or if they try to be more open about other people who are gay, they pull that card out, and they're concerned about their whole faith collapsing. And so I could kind of understand their fear a little better by looking at it that way. And I always try to take people where they are, because I've been different places through my life. You change all the way through your life as far as your any part of your journey. And
certainly through this process of accepting a gay son and accepting that within your own religious context.
And you have to go by everybody's experience is different. If you know, I haven't experienced some other things, and so I'm not as compassionate about those. So I have to remember that as well.
Well, right, and it just makes me think so many times about parents, and you know, where has your son fallen into the whole Christianity? Has he found some acceptance, or
well,
where is the community?
He married a preacher.
Oh my gosh, yes. Well, I remember when the marriage announcement came out, and this is the same. Still the same person.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a milestone in itself, even for heterosexual marriages.
Yeah,
they've
been together, I think, 14 years, and have been 12 since they had a commitment/marriage ceremony in their church in San Francisco. And his partner is a Metropolitan Community Church pastor, and so.
And of course, I remember and knew something of your story when their marriage announcement or commitment announcement was put in the Salina Journal, and people were like, "Oh my gosh!" What reaction did you get to that?
Everything was positive. I think the Journal had one client that dropped the newspaper. Other than that, everybody sent us the announcement and sent us money toward their honeymoon and all kinds of stuff.
I am surprised.
It was wonderful.
I am really surprised.
And they wanted to put a story along with it, and I said, I don't want a story. Other people don't have stories.
No, they don't have a big story about
I want
their
their
kids
picture in there
getting
like it
married
was anybody else. And so it was interesting, and it's been a good. The thing that's really kind of funny, because he didn't know whether he could be gay and Christian. Now he's as a preacher's spouse, in quotations, he says, I really wish I didn't have quite as much church, so be careful what you ask for.
Right, that is interesting to say that, because I've heard from other people who are married to ministers or something how
it's not easy.
It is not easy. It's not an easy role.
But my mom, bless her heart, talk about parents and grandparents accepting. She gave Eric a book for Christmas one year that said, how to be a minister's wife and not lose your identity. So he got a big kick out of that, and they were wonderful. So
now you're talking about the grandparents,
my parents,
the grandparents, because some of that again is so key toward even gays accepting themselves, because there still are the issues of young people discovering their identity and feeling suicidal. I can't do this. I didn't choose this, or I don't want to be this. And you've seen that in some of the work you've done as well.
Well, and part of it is because of the hassle they get at school, if anybody suspects.
I wondered about that. Did Eric ever get any bullying?
He didn't, get any but teasing? He has a really good sense of humor, and he where other people would stress about something, he'd make a joke about it, and so he got out of a lot of situations with a sense of humor. And so that helps if you kind of buckle or and it depends on your temperament. It depends on what you think your parents are going to think. If they think you're going to hell, then
that's got to be such a huge issue. It seems like knowing you were coming to talk and talking with Stephanie, our transgendered guest, I've been kind of catching little pieces of this and that. And there was a YouTube of a young man, I think he was 14, coming out, and the YouTube was very, I'm good, it's good, it'll be okay, and then he killed himself, the day after. Then there was a big show about Ricky Martin coming out, and in the Hispanic community, I guess it's much, in certain communities, it's much less accepted. And so his thing was also, and he got hounded by the press, and he didn't choose to come out until he was, I think he said he was like late 20s, and had gone a lot of years in his career without really saying, exactly what that was. And I wondered, I didn't hear for sure if there was some of the parental issues, but it seems like that's got to be key with so many of these young people, the support of parents and families. And I know you've been a member. You're not as active with PFLAG. Tell me just in closing here kind of what that organization is and does.
It's support for parents, and gives them a place to do exactly the same that we do with the Reconciling Ministers: advocate, support, and educate. And that's what a lot of them do, and they stand by their kids, and it's very much the same. And we have a support group at Trinity where I go that's not registered with PFLAG, but it's just to give the parents some support and that they're not alone.
Wow, that's a great note to end on, that you just mentioned a place here in our community that has open doors and support for the parents that are in a very, somewhat unique. I mean, there's still a small percentage of the population of children that come out and find and feel that they're gay. So thank you so much, Beverly, and thanks to our listeners for staying tuned in. This is Joan with the Joan Yurkovich Show. Be sure to go to joanyurkovich.com for the video outtakes and links to iTunes and my blog site. Thanks for joining me today for the innovative talk radio that surprises, entertains, and sometimes informs you. The Joan Yurkovich Show, 9 a.m. Saturdays on 910 KINA Salina. Thank you so much. Wow. It always goes so fast. I mean, I feel like there's just so much more. But it would be wonderful to have you back. Like if there's something, I always say that to guests, if there's something new or something going on. And certainly, we didn't get to talk too much about your books. So we got to mention them a little bit. But and how are dads with some of this? It's got to be a different journey. At some point, I need a father to come in, especially, obviously for a male. And, this was a mother for her daughter that I told you had really had a hard time with it.
One of the problems that parents have is that they have this whole idea of who their child's going to be when they grow up. And probably that's one reason it was easier for me, because Eric was going to be an actor. I didn't think that he was going to get married, because he was going to be an actor, and if he did, I figured it was going to be some real, don't even know the word to use, just character or whatever.
Career woman,
yeah,
or career
just some,
actress
real
type
off the wall,
wasn't gonna,
free spirit kind of person. And so
wasn't going to give you any grandbabies
I
anyway.
didn't have that whole
That's interesting.
scenario, and that's a lot of the reason that mothers have trouble with daughters, because they think, oh, there goes my dream, there goes who I
There
thought
goes
my
my
daughter
grandbabies.
was.
Yeah.
And that's not the case anymore, thank goodness.